Welcome to Morning Sip. Okay, potheads, it's coffee o'clock. We're going to sip and listen to what I brewed up this morning. This is the coffee before the talkie. This barista is about to serve up one of your important brews of the day with a dose of my sunshine. Think of it like a rush you get after that first sip of your coffee or even tea. It goes straight to your head.
There's a level of respect. Boys kind of feel like they can treat women any way they want to. They can do whatever they want and it should be acceptable. But I think men realize that that's not acceptable and you have to respect the one you're with, or else why are you with them?
So for those of you who are new to Morning Sip, this is a 15-minute or less short where, you know what, all of us just sip, slurp, and listen. Whether it's coffee, tea, or even a smoothie. I'm your host, Nina Babel, who is unapologetically my edgy self every time. And if it's your first time listening and you're new to the Keep It 100 Girl podcast, this isn't the first one. Most of my content are full-length episodes, and I help men and women celebrate embarrassment in their lives. I reveal what all you all are thinking but not saying out loud. In fact, I keep it 100, and if you're not familiar with the term, it just means that I keep it real, I keep it true 100% of the time, with no filters. Every week, I'm unapologetically myself, and more importantly, my goal is to empower you, give you that dose of confidence that will help you realize your self-worth. Forget the mistakes. We're gonna celebrate them and keep it moving.
It's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator.
All right, Sip Nation, I have so much to say, so let me set the scene. In my 30s, my mother gave me some dating advice. Some advice that I have not forgotten. Don't date a man your own age. Men don't mature until their 50s. And I kind of gave her this side eye like, what? I am not dating a 50-year-old person when I'm in my 30s. But her point was, if you dated somebody your own age, you're just not mature. It's like you're looking in the mirror. And I get it. Because before that, even before we had this conversation, I remember being in high school and starting to get interested in boys, or at least paying attention. I wasn't really dating. And my thought was to date an older guy, somebody who was more experienced, who could teach and show me things like a guy my age couldn't, because we're both going through it at the same time. Like, what value could he add? Which is a kind of a narrow-minded way of thinking, but nevertheless, that was my outlook. And more importantly, I think the other part of the equation was, when it comes to sex, I don't want somebody who's also a virgin. I want someone who's good in bed and who could teach me and show me how it feels and make me feel good. But no, that doesn't matter. That's another myth to bust. But let's set the record straight. Before I go any further, I can only speak for myself. I repeat, do not have daddy issues. He was a presence and a force throughout my whole entire life. So let's nip that in the bud. But I decided to reach out to Girlienation just for some mommy validation. And I asked them what they felt about dating a boy versus a man. And I started with college women to see if they were even self-aware of this notion that my mother raised, or not. Donna's in her 20s and considers herself a pretty traditional girl. She tells me what it means when it comes to dating a guy in college versus an older man.
Basically, courtship approach. So if I'm definitely not into, I guess I'm traditional as far as like, when we're getting to know each other, I feel it's very important for us to be in a certain environment. In college, it kind of glazes that over, where you think it's okay to be in a dorm room when we're getting to know each other, and just the overall setting. I feel like it's still important to actually court me, take me to dinner. And a lot of the college age boys are spoiled by a lot of the females who don't require that.
I know how some of you all are, though. Be real. Because when we're hungry, have no money, and in college, and there's some guy who's willing to pay and take us out to dinner, chances are it's going to be a man. But shout out to all 2016 college freshman females. But listen up. I don't care who it is. Unless you are intentional with hooking up with a guy, you have no business, and I repeat, none, heading to a guy's dorm room from Jump Street, because it only means one thing. Know this.
Welcome to the Modern Edgy Urban Store. This collection caters to modern, edgy, urban men and women. No more gentrifying our genius. We own it. We consider ourselves people with an edgy, hip swag by nature. We are unapologetically ourselves. We are crushing it. All day, every day. We have an urban, sexy style.
Donna shares with me the importance of a first impression. And frankly, she shares that older men have a better track record of setting a better tone.
I definitely think so, because when I have dated older guys, they don't accept anything less than actually talking over dinner. They're not going to, with college guys, a lot of times the first time you guys hang out, hey, you want to come over to my room? And I just think it's inappropriate. It sets the wrong tone, and it's hard. First impression is everything.
Tara's in her 20s, a college graduate, and what affects her most is the negative energy that a boy intentionally brings to a relationship.
I'd say a boy would be a little not considerate of everything as far as that involves me, and I feel like a man may take those things into consideration. Also, one thing is if you're not ready to be in a relationship or something like that, or you feel like you can't add to someone's energy or what they have going on, a man would be able to recognize that and keep it moving, whereas a boy would entertain it and maybe bring down your energy and, just bring some negative into your life that wasn't necessary. Seeing you doing your thing before, kind of, and then obviously you couldn't add anything positive to that, so step away,
One thing we haven't heard yet is the whole selfish thing, right? Jessica says that's the biggest difference for her. Boys focus on the now. Men have a directed focus on you and are intentional with making future plans.
Okay, well, I think I've dated quite a few guys to know that there is a keen difference between the two. With boys, I feel as though they're more selfish. They're more about themselves and what makes them happy, whereas a man, they understand that they need to factor in the female to the relationship. And men don't really worry about the now, they worry about the future. So they work towards building a future for them and the girl by not being selfish and incorporating her into their future and into their future plans. So,
if there's no respect, Tina says she would rather be by herself. And I was like, good for you, girl.
I think sort of like what Jessica was saying earlier, if there's a level of respect, boys kind of, in my experience, boys feel like they can treat women any way they want to. They can do whatever they want and it should be acceptable. But I think men realize that that's not acceptable and you have to respect the one you're with, or else why are you with them? You can just be by yourself. So I think that's a major difference.
She only dated boys, but Jocelyn focuses on the wisdom and the knowledge demonstrated by her father, who is her role model. She highlights that men take more consideration on how to treat a woman than a boy.
I've only ever dated boys, but seeing, even now, but seeing my father as, an example of a man, I would say the difference comes with really wisdom and knowledge in terms of age. And understanding, having an actual understanding of how you're supposed to treat a woman versus thinking you know what you're doing and fumbling and making mistakes. This is just a key difference in a boy who literally just isn't capable of knowing at this stage and period in his life. He's not mature enough versus a man who's able to comprehend, I'm supposed to treat a woman like this. I'm supposed to welcome her. I'm supposed to be warm and thoughtful and considerate.
So what did you think? Because I got some takeaways just based on all these conversations. As a woman, we are attracted to different things than we were when we were younger, right? There's some things that I might have looked for when I was 18 that I certainly don't look for in a guy now. In fact, not even a guy, a man. But it's interesting talking to younger women and hearing their experiences with dating a boy versus a man. Nothing really changes. We go through this journey of finding and defining our quote-unquote type, based on part of it, the schmucks we meet in our life, admittedly. But relationship coach Colin Tate reminds us that these schmucks that remain a boy never grow up.
it's that potential that can get these women in trouble. And I've interviewed women that have dated baby boys as old as 60 years old, still dating men that refuse to grow up, that still have these dreams of grandeur of being an actor, a musician, a rapper, get-rich-quick scheme.
What I heard from each of these women is that when you date a boy, he just wants to hang out and he doesn't court you. Boys also misinterpret your energy as attitude, and they might call you names and show you no respect as a result. A boy doesn't reach for the check. He wants to go Dutch, halvesies, whatever you want to call it, whereas a man will insist on paying. But let's be honest, some of you take it a little step further and are in it for the money.
More money, I want your money.
A free meal, I get it. You're hungry, you have no money, you're in college. Maybe it's your first job, you're not making a lot of money, you have a lot of expenses. I get it. No judgment. Lastly, a boy always is the one you fantasize about. Do you realize that? He's the one you fantasize about marrying because he's cute. He's eye candy. The man you're going to meet will love you more than you love him. And if you don't know what that means, tune into episode number 24. The bottom line, women are looking for grown-ass men that makes us a better version of ourselves. There's a difference between the boy you date and the man you marry, the partner that you will have for the rest of your life. The sad truth is recognizing those men that don't grow up and girls dropping them. That wraps up another episode of Morning Sip. Hope you enjoyed today's gulp. Help me spread the word, Sip Nation. Was this episode good for you? Because regular episodes of the Keep It 100 Girls Show, we drop every Tuesday on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and TuneIn Radio. Morning Sip drops twice a month, every other Thursday. Don't forget to review the show on iTunes. I rely on it because you know what? It helps me stand out from the crowd. And it helps women and even men understand themselves better. Let's keep it 100 and let's keep it real and true. Until the next morning sip, smooches!